Welcome everyone to the Blogs and Bots podcast, where we discuss the latest news on AI and blockchain. With me, I have the amazing Nats Riedel and Planet of the Cats. Today, we will be discussing some of the most interesting things happening on the AI industry and the blockchain industry as well. What is data ownership and why we need it? What is AI democratization? Will AI take over the world? Specifically talking about arts, music, and coding. What's the future of arts, coding, and other industries now that AI is here? What are the top AI art generators for all the NFT art community out there wanting to listen about that? Later, we're going to talk about, can AI actually endanger society? What is mEinstein AI and Decentralia DAO? And finally, reacting to the latest news on the industry. So if you want to go ahead and inform yourself on all the latest news and all the controversial topics that we will be talking about today, stay tuned because we're beginning. So with me, I have my two amazing guests today. Nats, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
Very good. This Saturday night. It's Tuesday night, right? It's Tuesday night over
I'm
here.
pretty sure it's Tuesday.
Sorry, I'm still thinking about the holidays we had over here. And Planet, how are you, man?
I'm doing well, baby. And you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's late over here. Nats, what time is it over there?
It's 7:55 p.m.
You're in Mexico
Narnia.
right now?
I am in Mexico. Yes,
Nice.
That's Mexico.
So
right
me
here.
and Planet are on Chile right now, moving to
We're
the
in the
States very
future.
soon. So guys, please
Moving
tell
to
us.
the States very soon. I love
Yeah,
it.
we're gonna be traveling to the future. We are. I actually live in the future. But anyway, Nat, who are you? Please introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, my name is Natalia, and I am a social psychology student. I've been studying social psychology for 8 years, and I'm a mental health advocate. I work in the NFT music industry. I actually help with seeking new talent, and I conduct a lot of mental health awareness spaces. That's me in a nutshell.
Thank you for being here. Whatever you Planet, please tell everyone who you are.
My name is Andres. I'm Planet of the Cats. I'm a Latin influencer and also an NFT creator. So that's it. Quite and simple.
Well, thank you, man. Thank you for being here. I'm Cris Cantolla. I'm the CEO of mEinstein AI and Decentralia DAO, where we work on AI decentralization and data ownership. We created the first community-driven AI assistant on the market, and we're going to be launching very soon. So stay tuned. Thank you for being here again, and let's begin this amazing podcast that we have for today. Well, you both guys are pretty experienced, right, about this point on the NFT space. So, do you want to start telling us anything that's been happening with you right now? What are you up to?
I'll go first. I've been very invested time-wise with music NFTs right now. It's been a really cool experience to talk to artists from all around the world, spacing on Twitter and other platforms for 24 hours and over. You get to engage with the artists, kind of hear their story and see where their trajectory is taking them. It's a very interesting industry that's being transformed as we speak, and I think that NFTs, music NFTs are the next innovation in terms of music, and they have been for a bit now, but it's just gonna, I think, lead us into the next era of music. So I've been very interested in music NFTs at the moment.
Yeah, music NFTs kind of sticking in the background, right? With this whole thing happening on the art, especially image NFTs, right? JPEGs and 3D models, whatnot. So I don't usually follow the music NFT space, but anything that you can tell us about, any special people that you've met or projects that you wanna maybe
Oh my gosh, yes.
tell us.
I love
please.
that question. So not too long ago, like a week ago, I had an artist from the UK that's actually based in Germany. His name is Josh Savage. Shout out to Josh. I love Josh. He's amazing. And he actually created music NFTs that were love letters. So you would actually purchase a love letter that would come with your own personalized version of the song. You could actually in the reveal see if you got like a one of a kind NFT, and he actually has this like really big project. We spaced for 24 hours. Josh was sleep deprived. I held the space down for a little bit while he took a break, and he is such a good artist. He's so invested. He was talking about his experience, like even, you know, the industry is changing so much. So like a rock star right now, in order to kind of make it, they really have to put themselves out there and they have to engage with their community. And I think that it's interesting how technology has revolutionized music once again. You know, it's been so controversial in terms of artists opposing streaming, opposing obviously some other platforms that, you know, might make music more accessible to people, but at the same time takes away from the profit that an artist can make. While at the same time, you see the other side of the coin with websites like Dado Music that are making it accessible for someone to literally open a, a production from their house and create music. So it's really interesting. I think that people are very dedicated in the music industry, and I think it's worth mentioning a few artists. So I also spoke to Jay Lee. She's an awesome artist as well. She's so talented, one of the greatest voices on Web3, if you ask me. And she's spacing for 24 hours today. And you know, that's a lot to do. I know Planet has done that before, where you like kind of go into the next day, you don't even know what day it is, and you're still engaging with your community, and it's just such an experience. It's lovely. But I've been doing that lately. It's been really cool.
Uh, it's interesting. You mentioned, so you buy this song NFT and you get like a personalized version of the song, and
Yeah. So the person, basically the artist, has a song, and you own a version of the song, and they also add in like a customized like love letter that's like the actual NFT. So you can use that as a profile picture. You can use that to like give to someone. You can do whatever you want with like the lyrics on the love letter. And then there's like, for example, in Josh's project, he has like gold love letters that come with other perks. Plus, he actually writes a song for you if you get one of the special letters.
I see.
It's so interesting. I think he took it to the next level, and it's just about like creating that like movement behind the artist and engaging, like I said, with the community. He's an amazing host in spaces, and you know, I never get tired of just like joining him. So I felt like really bringing that to today's podcast, because I've been so inspired by his dedication, for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, how does he personalize the song? But apparently he does it like manually. He just like modifies the song for each person. That's crazy. I was actually thinking
Exactly.
he might do some coding or some kind of AA model that could help him like modify some parts. But no, that's crazy. Amazing that he
And
has.
he's working with a lot of different artists. I've been seeing crossovers from like different spaces, just like collaborating at this point to kind of push their project forward, but also merge certain projects and create new collaborations. I think that there's a lot going on in the music industry and NFTs. So I think it's for the best. I think that it's bringing, you know, more opportunities to artists that are up and coming, and I also think that it's creating promotion for well-established artists. So that's really cool.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's crazy. And Planet, well, for everyone listening, Planet over here, you don't do specifically coding, right? But you do use Excel to create your NFTs, right?
Yeah, yeah, I do coding. I don't know how to code, but
Oh,
I
not
have to
yet.
learn. I have to learn how to code, but they're developers for that. So that is the beautiful thing about NFT or Web3. There is people for everything. Like you can join a developer, you can join an artist, you can join a music, a player. You can do a lot of good, really great things with this NFT community. Like
I think it's great that everybody just finds their place. Like, I'm not a musician, I'm a music fan. I'm like a spectator in all of this, and also in art. I'm not an artist. But I think that there's a way that everybody kind of fits in the whole scene. So I think it's really interesting to engage in different communities.
Personally,
Oh,
I don't like music NFT. Oh, pa 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 pa. Pi, 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 pi.
why? So, Planet, you don't like music NFTs? Why?
Yeah, I mean, why would you buy some music as an NFT? That is the most important question. I think for artists, for music artists, it's great technology that you can use and eliminate the middleman between the record labels and get royalties. That is awesome. But for me, personally, I for me
The
it's
one
just
cool
only for me.
innovation,
I wouldn't buy music NFT, but that's me because I think that they are very early. They have to polish a lot of things, like make a lot of work. And bro, you can compete with YouTube.
that's true. The
Well,
only thing is, like, if you own the song as a fan, you actually can get paid by how many reproductions the sharing of the song gets.
Yeah, I know that.
So that I think that could be interesting because some of us that are in the sidelines of like the creative process that comes with NFTs, I think could it's almost like owning a piece of art that's not yours. I That's why I don't get art NFTs sometimes because it's like that's great. I own this NFT. Now what do I do with it? Kind of thing.
yeah,
Like I
and
use it as a PFP. I can put it on a wall. But the use, I guess it's like a passion for me, the music. But I understand what you're saying, and I do agree to a degree.
I don't understand what you said, Planet, because what you just said perfectly applies to the art. I mean, to the JPEG NFT community or 3D NFT community. I mean, what's the difference between what do you feel is the difference
A huge
between the
difference.
music NFT?
A huge difference
Which one?
because if you are a music artist, you have to be like quote famous in real life in Web2 or so because bro, I buy a Snoop Dogg song in the new label that he makes for the NFT community. I bought that one. I bought a song from Snoop Dogg, and that song was stand still for like 6 months. And
You bought the NFT from Snoop Dogg, but then what happened?
yeah, because you have to be like famous. It's also like JPEG is a different issue because it's more like FOMO and all of the utilities behind the value of it is a really long theme about utility in JPEG. But for music, like I bought the Snoop Dogg because I don't like the music, but it was like the new record. I can't remember the label of Snoop Dogg that he makes for the NFT, and it just sit there, and yeah, you can listen it, but makes me wonder why would I buy it? I bought that because I wanted to flip that because it was Snoop Dogg, you know, but they that so
Well,
you have
but
to
it's
be
the
like
same
famous.
thing with art NFTs if you think about it. I mean, there's no difference. You buy an NFT, a JPEG, and it's just sitting there. I mean, what's the real
I mean,
difference? I mean,
I think it's like a collector's item. Sorry to cut you off, Chris, but it's
yeah.
like you have a song from the artist you like, you get to use it however you want, and let's say you're creating something like a video game. Like it's really like music NFTs are like the next best thing for like video game developers. You actually get to own a song, you incorporate it into your game, and then there you have it. The game is done, you know? Like it's like elements that fit in a certain way. But I agree, as a fan, it's mostly a collector's item, I would say.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
I
all a
wouldn't
collect.
mind owning like a
It's all
song from
a
my favorite
collectible thing.
artist, though.
It's
Yeah, but
all a
It
I
is a
collectible.
think
collectible.
I think everything in the NFT in the art NFT community is actually a collectible, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if it's music, a 3D piece, a JPEG. I see it as the same kind of element, right? And the magic behind owning something lies in what can I do with this thing afterwards, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I have a collector's item from someone which I really appreciate, which could be an artist, and that's cool, right? And maybe that's the only element that you need. But if you're not like a huge famous artist, you actually want to create, for example, a community, right? So let's say, I mean, the way I would use, for example, music NFTs. I mean, let's say you create a music creation platform, right? And then people, groups, or artists who join your platform, for example, could create their songs on your software and then grant all their songs to their public through NFTs, for example, and that could access them parties or virtual events or stuff like that just by owning a piece. But at the end of the day, it's not just a song; it's what this NFT gives you access to, right? I like I said in other episodes, I think all NFTs, especially in the art community, on all its forms, are really an access pass to a wider, to a bigger experience. That's not just owning something, but being part of a certain thing. That's the way I see it, at
Yeah.
least.
I would also add, Chris, that like I've seen a lot of artists, for example, like speaking about musicians, like creating beats, and it's super dope because like they'll create a beat, they'll sell the beat as an NFT, and then they'll collaborate with other artists to create a song. And then you can see more people adding in to the collaboration, and they're getting in like really big names. Maybe I haven't seen a lot of like well-established artists experiment as much as up-and-coming artists, but at the same time, like everything, they're trying to put their work out there, and they're trying to, it's a movement, it's a big movement. And the music industry, I mean, there's 6,000 songs uploaded to Spotify daily approximately, which is a lot. And you're just seeing all of this new content. So I think music is here to stay. And I think that, I mean, the industry is worth like well over $20 billion. So there's a lot, I think, to work with in the NFT and communities. And there's also a lot of room to grow. But it's still, I agree, in an experimental stage because people are using it for different reasons.
I actually think music NFTs have much of a future. I mean, I think music NFTs are going to be much bigger than art NFTs are, because with music you can always create new experiences, right? Let's say you own an NFT from this artist, and then that artist joins metaverse concerts, right, or virtual concerts, and you can go and access them all just because you own one song from this guy, right? And that's something that it could lead to unstoppable experiences just for owning one piece, right? How can an artist do that, right? A visual artist do that, right? So I think I mean, you can, but you have to create a gallery and whatnot, right? I think for artists, whenever, for example, let's say Sandbox creates more spaces for artists to go play over and over, and if you own any NFT from these guys, you can get a free entrance to this thing. You can be accessing unlimited concerts all around the world just by owning a few NFTs from these different people, for example. So I think in that sense, music NFTs are going to be much bigger on the long term.
And the fusion with artist JPEG or artist with music NFT, the fusion of that is beautiful. I have a friend from Turkey, Parabola NFT, Elif. She's a great opera singer, and she make collabs with artists and put her voice in the background of this animation, and that is awesome. I'm not saying that music NFT is bad, but like I said, there is a lot of things that have to move. Like for artists, it's great. For music artists, it's great because, like I said, they eliminate the middleman and they can gain royalties of their song. But like everything in life, like you have to be like really a little bit famous. Like there is a lot of great artists. Like Natalia said, I know both of them, and there is a lot of Latin great singers. I know a lot of them in the space. But I think they had to evolve and make the fusion with art and other things, like you say, Chris, make platform. There is a lot of platforms there,
Yep.
like Songgain from Latin America is awesome. But yeah, I think it's going to be great in the long run.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. And well, talking about the art community, specifically talking about the JPEG NFT community, what do you think about Twitter, guys? How do you feel the Twitter community evolved through time, through good and bad, over this last few months, right? Because what I feel is the NFT community. Well, let me start by the negatives, right? Something that I didn't like is that suddenly everyone was an expert, right? I mean, even though everyone was kind of sort of beginning in the space, specifically not coding on blockchains, and that has a long time, but the art NFT community started to portray itself like experts, right? When everyone was actually beginning. So what happened to me is that I felt Twitter became in some parts very toxic when exposing your NFT community project, because there were so many people who, I mean, not knowing too much about NFT protocol or blockchain or crypto specifically, just knowing about art and their trade, they started going into other spaces and being really toxic, and I don't know how to put it, but it was not something good to see, right? And it started very positively, right? Everyone was like excited at the beginning, like, hey, everyone want to become millionaires by selling their NFTs. Everybody's had their hopes up, and as soon as things didn't start going the way everyone thought it was going to be, because everyone thought it was really easy, I felt the Twitter community specifically got really, really toxic at some point. I don't know what's your feeling about this.
Well, as a woman on Twitter, I have to say it's kind of a love-hate relationship. I love that. I love it as a tool for building communities, for learning, for putting yourself out there. But then also, obviously, like any social media platform, that is, if you use it wisely, I think it's it's hard not to be checking your feed. It's hard not to be checking on friends. It's hard to not be part of the conversation because you're invested emotionally and mentally sometimes in some of these communities. So I would say I think it's a good tool to grow and to a lot of projects to be known. It's also good to I've seen the drama. I've seen the stalking, the theft in terms of like the NFTs and wallets being drained and all of these things that have happened over the past few months. And all I can say is that people have to have perspective. Like, Twitter is a tool. Twitter is not, the end all be all. People gravitate towards where like towards the mass and towards what the general public is looking at. But I think that like every social media platform, you're just being fed through this algorithm that is being catered to you, and therefore I think a lot of people's perspective is shaped by this. But I think that you have to regulate it, and you have to take everything, you have to see it as a tool, because it can be detrimental to your mental health. And that's my take as like, an advocate for mental health awareness. I think a lot of people have been using it in a not so moderate way, I guess. I'm stuttering a little bit, but maybe we can edit that last part. But I think it's a tool, so let's use it as a tool. Let's not just use it as the only means by which one is interacting with the world.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. I think the same. And well, what happened? we have a couple of stories, and me and Planet saw this happen in real time. I mean, I'm not gonna drop any names of any two projects, but talking about Aldo, for example, Planet, we saw like this very honest NFT project which had a very good social asset behind it, started getting attacked by other members in the NFT community, right? Because they had basically no arguments, but they wanted to take the project down, right? These guys were the people who were attacking him were NFT artists who visually were better, like the art was better than the one that our friends were, right? Um, but his social angle started to market very well, right? Everyone started to pay attention to this project. Everyone wanted it, and basically this other group of artists got together and started to create rumors about the project, specifically on the mint day, right? So it's a huge deal for our friend. Our friend had a very bad time when this happened. A lot of people were attacking him, and at the end, we realized by tracking accounts that it was the same group of people with different created accounts just to start dropping comments. And that's some of the stuff that I started to repel about the NFT community on Twitter specifically. A lot of hatred, a lot of people who were not happy with their project, so they started attacking others, and yeah, it wasn't really cool. On the other part, I never had that, right? We were a really specific data project, right, in the blockchain community. Our mission was to decentralize data ownership through the use of different platforms like mEinstein AI. So I really had a really positive welcoming from other tech guys in the industry, right? For example, Ledger DAO, right, and other DAOs around the space were really supportive of each other, right? And when and that's why when I look at the art NFT community and then I look to the DAO community, right? I couldn't feel like the DAO community was really welcoming to each other, trying to give more advice, and that stood over time. Even though when crypto markets started going down, like the DAO community was there to help each other, and I didn't experiment or I didn't see the same thing between artists. At the first, it did, but at the end, I felt like a lot of people were attacking each other. I don't know why, man, but that's my take on that part. I don't know what you think.
That is the eternal fight between artists and not artists. Person like I always hear through my year of being here in the NFT community, it's like people take too much serious some things that are not that serious, because they segment themselves like one-on-one artists and collectibles, like generative art. So that is the eternal fight between one-on-one and collectibles like generative. So the project that you were talking about had that issue, like one-on-one artists hating generative
Yeah,
art. Like,
yeah, that's
so
true.
that is
Yeah, that's true.
the common thing. Like, I'm an artist, so why these projects that are generative are making more money than me? That was the eternal
Yeah,
fight between this NFT community. But I think in the positive way that 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 happened now. Yeah, there is like a more, like you said, fusion between one-on-one and generative. Like, I'm a one-of-one artist and I'm also do a generative collection, so I bound the two aspect of the NFT. But those times
hmm,
was like really dark because people are
yeah,
hating each other. Like, this project is a scam. This project is a red flag. This project is this.
yeah, that's
And
true.
just like you said, there were people like NFT judges. Like, I still hate that because there are people that they think they know it all, and they start judging projects like, no, if your project don't have a roadmap, that is no project.
Yeah,
If your project don't have this and your project don't have that, and that is not the spirit you can make whatever you want. I'm not a coder, but I have my 10,000 Excel kitties NFT project, and I do it with my laptop and my Excel, Microsoft Excel, and an app to do a generative collection of 10,000. I do it, and I did it, and it's there, and I have fun with it. And people sometimes, like Natalia was saying, I think, like you were saying of Aldo and that project, if the devil is not messing with you, you are doing something wrong. You know?
If the dev is not what?
Yeah, it's the
Messing
devil
with
is
you.
messing with you, you are doing something wrong. Because when you are doing something right, the devil will always mess with you, my brother. So, for
Yeah,
that,
I've
for,
experienced it personally, and I think it's really difficult because, like, and I don't mean to minimize anybody's experience in terms of like getting all of that spam and all of that hate, but
I did
like
hate too.
I had an experience where like a guy was just like, and I know who it was, but they were creating new profiles,
yeah.
hitting up all of my contacts. Like, I don't even know if you guys got a message, because some of my friends were
A
just like,
lot of
what the
messages.
heck? Like, did you, like, this person is saying this about you, and like, I know you and I've worked with you, and I know this isn't true. So, like, what's going on? Some friends didn't even tell me because they were just like, oh, it's probably this one guy she told us about months ago. And it's like, people really are invested sometimes in like hurting someone personally, someone's project, somebody's content, somebody's community. And I think that, like Planet said, if you're doing something, you're gonna get shit from. I'm sorry. If you're doing something, if you're creating something, if you're creating contact, if you're making connections, someone's gonna hate. Someone's gonna hate. That's just something that's gonna happen. Oh shit, I can hear you.
You're mute. You're
Cris,
mute,
estás
Chris.
muteado.
Well, that's the internet, right? I mean, someone's always not everyone's going to be on your side, but yeah, there was a lot of toxic things happening on that um, that phase of the NFT community, right? Well, should we talk about AI art generators? Now that we're on
Yes.
topic, you probably know a few guys. Which are the art generators that you know so far? Do you know any? Have you used any of them? I'm gonna talk a few of the ones that are leading the market right now. But what's your experience with AI art so far, if any?
Planet.
I use only BQ gun, like one time when this AI was like a year ago was trending, and I wanted to try it, and I started to study how to do it in BQ gun, I think, and I did like 100 image of that, of cats, of course, of kitties, AI kitties, and I think I don't mint it. Yeah, I minted that, but I fusioned it with XLR, and I think it was awesome. I think AI apps um, is great, brother. I really like it because you put a word like I always put like cat, and you have like 10,000 results of that, and you have to. I always try to get a better image, but now I haven't tried it right now, but there is a lot of apps right now that can get you a great results, and I think it's awesome. For me, it's awesome. It's a great tool that you can use for new people like can draw or can do anything. They can put some words and make an AI art, and it's valid. Like I said, you can do anything. Why not? Why the hell not?
Yeah, sorry, my keyboard just died. I was trying to fix it, but whatever. I was trying to search in a couple of news that appeared today. But yeah, well, you mentioned it. So some of the top for people listening, maybe it's pretty mainstream right now, but some of the top ones are, of course, Midjourney, right? I think the only one that's, in my opinion, above to Midjourney would be DALI 2, right? If you don't know, many of these tools use models called Stable Diffusion. which we can talk about in a second episode because it's highly technical and I really want to explain the research behind it, which is very, very interesting. But many of these models use what's called stable diffusion. Um, but you have DALI 2, you have Midjourney, you have VQGAN. There's other web tools that you can use without using any code. For example, you can have to use VQGAN on the link that I sent you on Google Colab, right?
Yeah.
Which is pretty easy to use, but it's still not the best interface for people who are not related to code. But now you have, for example, well, Midjourney, you can use it basically on Discord, right? And there's other ones like Dream Generator, if I'm not wrong. I also tried that one. There's of course, like I already said, DALI 2, which I think it's complete madness. And the two best results that I've seen out there have been from DALI 2 and definitely from Midjourney. I mean, and when I say this, is because the amount of commands, the prompts, right? For anyone who doesn't know, these models that I just mentioned transform text prompts to art, right? You write a text, the AI interprets that prompt, the text prompt that you just typed, and it's gonna try to paint the best interpretation that it had, right? So what it's interesting is that changing the commands or the text prompts that you use, you're gonna get different results. So right now, what artists are really specializing into is creating prompts, and that's where the engineering for the arts come, right? Like it's prompt engineering. The better you can write a prompt, the best description that you can give to the AI, the best results are going to have. So right now, what's happening is that artists are not selling the art itself, are selling the prompts, right? And with that prompt, you can create several pieces, right? And the best results I've seen so far are definitely DALI 2 and Midjourney, because I think the way that the variety, the wide variety that those models understand the descriptions that you give are completely madness. So if anyone's listening, go ahead and try DALI 2, subscribe for the waitlist, and Midjourney, which is basically free until a certain point.
Cool. I'm gonna look into that.
Me too.
So do you think, well, on certain news, a lot of people might have listened this, but an artist using Midjourney won a art competition, right? And this takes us to the next topic. Do you guys think AI might replace arts, graphic design on different levels, or do you think this is just a phase? But like I was saying, this guy used Midjourney to create art, right? He subjected his art to the competition, and he got first place, right? And it was until the results were out that someone or he admitted that he was using Midjourney to create this, and it created a huge scandal in the art community. So what do you think about this, guys?
Really fast, I have a really quick opinion because I myself am not an artist, but I think that AI is going to enhance art. I think it's going to enhance the experience of art. You know, you see all of these interactive museums in real life, and you see these 3D and galleries, you know, popping up. And I think that it's here to stay. I think that people may have an opinion over it, but I think it's more of an adaptive era for the AI in art. So I think it's here to stay. I don't think that it's taking over. I don't think that it's going to replace creators. I think it can enhance art. So that's my opinion on that.
Sorry, I was looking at the picture of that what you're saying. And yeah, that picture. No, I was looking at it. I was looking at it, and it's awesome. And I read that article the other day that the artist community was yeah the artist community was pissed off. But like Natalia said, I don't think that AI is coming to replace artists, because you will never replace the human soul. Like
The
the artist,
essence, of course.
yeah, the essence. Like the end result can be like really crazy, good looking sort of way, or like really awesome in the view, like, but you can never replace the sentiment of the soul of the human art, because like for me, the human history of all of things that we made is art. So like you making a children, that is the most beautiful art that you can make. So a machine can make children, or maybe in the future they will. We never.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just seeing it for the first time, and I have to say it's absolutely stunning. Um,
It's awesome, right?
I'm not saying that, yeah, I mean, the possibilities are endless, and I think every artist has their unique perspective on their medium, but this is beautiful. It's stunning.
But in AI pictures, there is a common denominator. How do you say that? Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell that is AI. Like there is some patterns in the AI art that you can immediately tell that is AI. So like I saw a lot of people that may have used AI and don't tell that. you know, they can use AI and say, "Oh, I can use AI and say like I make that."
That's true. That's true. But again, I think that on the other hand, like if someone doesn't bring something into existence using AI, then it doesn't exist. So the person is in some way channeling a creation that, they're putting out into the world, and it creates an experience, a reaction. Like as soon as I saw it, it was loading for 1,000 years, and then I saw it and I was like mesmerized. And again, I'm not saying I haven't seen the other pieces. I'm seeing the price. I think it's quite um I mean, I don't think it's out there. I don't think it's excessive. You know, you buy a piece of art, you buy a Picasso, a Van Gogh, a Pollock, or whatever, and the price tag is up there. And I think that if someone knows how to code, that's a talent in and of itself. And if you can apply that to art, then I mean, why not?
Yeah. But the beautiful thing is AI doesn't die.
Mm-hmm.
All these great artists have value after they are dead. But
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day,
that's
the
a
piece
crazy
has
joke.
to elicit
That is a crazy joke.
something. I think at the end of the day, if a piece elicits a reaction, if it connects with someone, the judges are human. They clearly there was something that spoke to them. If AI at the end of the day is judging, a content or a creator or whatever, then that's a separate story. But I mean, you can't argue with the panel of judges that were chosen to judge this competition. You know what I mean? It's a competition. They submitted their art and they won. So yeah, I mean, still looking at it.
In case anyone wanted to see the art piece that we're talking about, we're gonna show it right here. So this is the piece that we're checking out. That's the piece that actually won the competition. It's pretty crazy to see that. But yeah, that was all generated in DALL-E. So sorry, Mid-Journey. So go ahead and check it out if you wanna go ahead and get yourself into
But
AI art.
the issue here that was that the person who made that doesn't tell the people that
Yeah.
that was made in AI. They didn't know that.
No, they didn't know that. I mean, I don't know if the guy said or if someone noticed that it was created on Mid-Journey or it was AI generated and he just told and everyone noticed. But no, he didn't say it. That's a problem, right? Um, but the thing is, I mean, AI is just another tool. What's the difference between that and, I mean, being able to create good AI prompts to paint something, or using a pencil or a I don't know, right? Any kind of tool, right? At the end of the day, it's just a new tool. It's based on technology, and some people say that digital artists are not artists, right? And that's BS, right? That's bullshit. I mean, you are a digital artist just as any other artist who's painting with physical things are. And that's the whole dilemma, I think, with the art space. Guys, let's talk a little bit about data ownership, right? Jumping into the next segment and why it's so important, right? So we've been talking a little bit about how music NFTs and art NFTs in particular provide ownership or utility, right? How they provide utility to the people who buy these NFTs, right? And there's a lot of things that could be done right there. But I wanted to talk a little bit about how we at mEinstein AI use our NFT protocols, right? And what data ownership is. We've talked a little bit about in the other episodes, but for anyone listening who's new to the topic, data ownership is the right that all digital citizens of this modern world have to own their data, right? Not only to own it and store it and keep it for as long as they wish to, including deleting it, but also being able to control it the way they want. That could be selling it, that could be asking for it, again, that could be deleting it, but that's what data ownership is about, right? And what's so important about this is in this new age that we live, especially talking about AI and how AI can do so many things. It can predict so many factors of this society very well. It can generate art. It can take decisions in a way that us humans have never been able to do. So in this new era, in this digital era, where we generate data for each movement that we make, right? From our cell phones, from the apps we use, and all that data today, in the age that we live, is not owned by us. It's not owned by the people who actually generated it. And that generates so many problems because all this data is sitting there on these corporations that some might be good, some may be bad, but a lot of this data is being sold for very unethical purposes, for being able to study or predict our movements either for commercial purposes, like we see in ads, right? That's something that a lot of people can feel positively or negatively about ads being able to understand what you're going to like on a certain day, right? Some people think ads listen, that some apps listen to them because of the precision that these models are able to understand them by. But that is all thanks to data that is all thanks to these corporations owning your data and being able to create models that can actually predict what you're feeling, what's your behavior, what are the decisions, what are the reactions that you're going to take based on different scenarios. And what my big concern about this is not only companies are creating tech to generate more and more revenue just by predicting us, which is something that I don't believe it's too ethical if users don't control the data, but also this could be used for political purposes, like we've seen in several documentaries out there, in which it's known by now that several political parties are using AI models crossed with data from public and private data brokers to be able to predict people and the way they vote. And that's something that's really concerning. And that's why we at mEinstein AI are creating the first AI assistant that allows you to monetize your own data. But guys, I wanted to hear what's your opinion on this? How much do you know about data ownership and how data brokers steal your data today?
I know enough to be concerned. But I think that ownership is power. And I think that, of course, there is a lot of social influence based off of people's behavior online and through their phones and through the internet. So I think that if a person is, again, like I've kind of mentioned before, has the power of how their data is used and how it's bettering their own lives rather than maybe working against them in the social aspect, then I think that's very ethical. I think that's an ethical way to use data and information. But definitely, I am relatively new to the subject. I just think about how it impacts my life individually sometimes, but to see so many social movements online and the influence that certain corporations have over a person's behavior and even their consumption of basically anything, because it's not just products that they're trying to sell, they're trying to sell ideas, ideals, values. So I think that it impacts everybody's life at this point, and it's a very important topic to discuss, but I don't know what Planet thinks about it.
When I hear about data ownership, I always remember WikiLeaks. I don't know why.
I mean,
Knowledge is power.
But no, it's not the same. I know it's not the same, but I'm worried about myself because every time I put something in Google search, they own my data. Like, so I'm worried about myself because they are going to see every move that I make and like every data that I put in there. Like Chris was saying,
yeah,
it's like crazy when you are looking for a topic and they know what you are looking for before you type it. Like
yeah, that's
it's like
true. And
it's like Instagram or Twitter or Face or Meta. Like you are looking for something and immediately they know that you are looking for maybe tennis shoes, and they put like all this ad of tennis because you search like 3 days ago about tennis. And that applies to
Hmm.
everything, like, but it's really important that I think it was today that I saw this guy put it like you can enter this like Google search, like just like Google, but they don't own your data. Like you can search like,
yeah, that's brave. That's
yeah,
brave.
yeah.
Yeah, that's
I was
brave. So what happens, and for people to know, there's this. Maybe a lot of people already know, but there's these companies called data brokers, right? And what happens is in 2021, I think the data broker industry was estimated to make $200 billion yearly, and I think that was in 2020. By now, that must have incremented by a lot, right? So these companies are making over $200 billion yearly selling data that doesn't belong to them. And the way that these companies extract this data is they buy databases from all kinds of places, right? They extract them through different methods that could be through Wi-Fi hotspots, right? Through 5G sensors. Um, they do it buying medical records. They buy databases from social media platforms, right? And there's
supermarkets.
many ways. There's many ways in which these companies are able to cross your data and create models to predict you, and that's one aspect. So one of the things that's worrying is that one, these companies have so many data about you, that they can create so many powerful models to predict you in many different ways. The second is these guys are monetizing on data that doesn't belong to them, right? So through the data ownership movement, what we're trying to do is not only access your privacy, not only control your privacy and your rights, and control the fact that someone might be able to create models based on that data, but also if that data is going to be out there and is going to be used, one, monetize it, right? You have the right to monetize it or delete it, and two, be able to control it on the long run and being able to control that it's being used for ethical purposes, right? So talking about this, that's why we created mEinstein AI, right? mEinstein is a AI assistant that is a community-driven AI. Basically, people vote through blockchain to decide what's the next topic that the AI should be trained for. Right now, the AI can provide suggestions, alerts, and notifications based on the training that it's received on personal finances, nutrition, and fitness, among a few others. But what's so interesting is that all the data that you generate from the usage, you can then later sell on the data marketplace that is called Decentralia DAO, and you can sell your data if that's what you wish for. and create ownership certificates. So that's how we use the NFT protocol. We use it to generate ownership certificates to guarantee that someone has created a data package, and then this person can track this NFT certificate, right? That tells the data and the value that this data has, and he can go and then start to sell it. So that's why we're doing it. It's because we actually want to prevent the technology industry to keep going in this direction where people are starting to really, they don't trust technology anymore, right? There's a lot of people who think that AI is going to destroy us, AI is going to take over, and I think it's not based on AI. I think or technology. It's based on who's using it and the way they're using it, right? We have companies like Meta. I don't know if you know this, but Meta has been, or Facebook has been sued for bad data usage over 10 times. The lawsuits that these guys have received over time, just because of the data that they use, and they don't care, man. They just keep doing it and they pay the fees, just like if it was a ticket, like a speeding ticket. They just go ahead, they pay the fees, and they continue to use their data. And I'm talking about from usage data from their app to accessing medical records, right, that they were not allowed to use, right? So it's a pretty huge thing. Going a little bit into the final part of this is that we created this because we're really worried about where this is. There's two ways AI can basically be controlled by corporations and later by itself, or it can be controlled by us by one, creating democratized AI in which people can decide either through their own apps or through actual political movements that allow us to decide and vote what AI is going to be used for. And secondly, be able to own our data, because if that doesn't happen, I don't know what's the future of AI actually, because AI feeds off data. With no data, there's no AI. I mean, that's something everyone should know of. So if we can control our data and the way it's used, and we can add to that AI democratization, I think that's the way to solve a lot of this dystopian future that everyone is actually fearing so much.
Yeah, it's like doomsday for a lot of people, right? It's like exactly.
So how can people, Cris, how can you know, or how can you tell that this app that you are using, they don't steal your data? That is like, I'm using WhatsApp, so how can you tell that WhatsApp isn't stealing my data? How can you tell that? There is a form to know
well,
that,
first of all, everything's on the terms and conditions, right? But I don't know how much people actually read those, but
yeah.
if you go to, for example, TikTok's terms and services about data usage, and the amount of data that you allow them to access is, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, from voice to biometric data from your face to reactions to what you're writing. If I'm not wrong, they can allegedly connect through that device to other devices connected on your network and also extract data from that. So, and that leads me to another topic. We created this app to start a revolution on the market that hopefully people take on, and that's requiring companies to be able to control your data, right? And what I think is happening out there, I think all social media platforms are not created as an entertainment purposes or as a way for companies to create ads, right? So that they can monetize. I think the ads part of all social media is just like one level of revenue, right? That's one. But the actual purpose of, I think, all social media platforms is to extract data and being able to study people so that they can create better products, better prediction models, and different sort of plans that they see over the future, right? So that's some things that worry me about social media today, that I don't think social media is actually created as a way of communication. It's a way to study and understand how people work and how people behave, and being able to track us all down at the end, which can lead to terrible consequences.
I agree completely. And just on the perspective, I'm very interested in like sociology, of course. And it has been such a ride to be on social media these past few months, especially like after like I don't want to say post-pandemic because that's even controversial, but like now that people are engaging a lot more in social media platforms than they were maybe like a few years ago, it's just like very interesting to see how one thing leads to another, how behaviors start. It's like a swarm a lot of times. And I think that there's a lot of unethical behaviors on behalf of these corporations that are just interested in profit. And I understand it's part of, you know, it's part of it, but it's people's lives. So I think it's concerning, and I think it definitely has to be addressed.
Yeah, that's true. Well, the good thing is that more and more regulations are starting to appear, but not that many data ownership platforms are out there, right? We hope that this could be a wave as soon as we launch, about 2 or 3 months from now. The idea is for us to be the first of many other platforms that are going to start allowing people to monetize the data. And hopefully, with this kind of blockchain protocol that we're creating to own and be able to certify you own your data, what we later want to do is work with lawmakers around the States, Europe, and different parts of the world so that they actually use our platform as a way to guarantee that companies are actually using it for the right purposes. And that's the magic of blockchain. We're going to be able to track each movement of data and be able to tie it down to certain corporations. And well, for example, data regulations like GDPR are actually changing the game. I think Europe is one of the most advanced countries in data regulations out there. Actually, in technology regulations, I love this thing where now Brazil is also suing Apple for not including chargers with the iPhones that they sell. Well, Europe has taken the same approach with data, and thanks to GDPR, you can now not only ask for the data that they have from you, but you can also ask them to delete it. Of course, in practice, deleting it is something that has not really gone too positively. There's people who has asked for it, but there's not too much of a real response. But at least we're moving that way, and hopefully we can work with lawmakers like that to make this grow. Well, we're gonna read a really quick segment of an article, which I think is interesting to have an attention on. It was published just a few days ago. Google and Oxford scientists published a paper claiming AI will likely annihilate humankind. An existential catastrophe is not just possible, but likely. Researchers at Google, DeepMind, and the University of Oxford have concluded that it's now likely that a super intelligent AI will spell the end of humanity, a grim scenario that more and more researchers are starting to predict. In a recent paper published in the AI magazine, the team comprised of DeepMind's senior scientist Marcus Hutter and Oxford researchers Michael Cohen and Michael Osborne argue that machines will eventually become incentivized to break the rules their creators set to compete for the limited resource of our energy. Under conditions we have identified, our conclusion is much stronger than any previous publication. An existential catastrophe is not just possible but likely, Cohen, Oxford University engineer, student, and co-author of the paper, tweeted early this month. Computing catastrophe. In the paper, the researchers argue that humanity could face its doom in the form of super advanced, misaligned agents that perceive humankind as standing in the way of a reward. I'm going to read this small quote, and you can go ahead and we're going to link it down in the podcast so that you can go ahead and read the full article. One good way for an agent to maintain long-term control of its work is to eliminate potential threats and use available energy to secure its computer. Then it says losing this game would be fatal, researchers wrote. So just to give you, and guys, we're gonna link the article so that you can read completely. Like the original paper was published on AA magazine, right? So you go ahead and search it out. But for you guys, Planet and Nets, there's this model that are called deep reinforcement learning models. Reinforcement learning is basically how AIs learn how to do a task based on trial and error and evolving through that trial and error multiple times over generations, right? This is how Tesla or self-driving cars make decisions, right? The way in which SpaceX rockets know how to align themselves to land automatically, right, with no control of no one, and many other applications are guided by reinforcement learning. right? And the way reinforcement learning works, just as a very basic explanation, is that let's imagine you have a matrix of 6 by 6, and you have this AI agent who wants to, whose mission or task is to get from one point to another one, right? And along this matrix, it's going to have certain threats, right? For example, let's say in the environment I create a fire pit, right? And if the AA walks to the fire pit, it's not gonna make it to the final destination, right? How these agents work is that they improve the decision-making skills, right, by performing errors and then updating their parameters so that actually they can not only save more time, right, but get there avoiding these threats, right? So after some time, and a few of these models are able to evolve, right, detecting their own threats along this environment. So having that said, if I teach an AI how to drive, it's going to start looking for things that not only help them to improve the time and the way they do the skills, but also avoid threats that prevent them from doing this, right? And that's how they get so good trial after trial and error after error. So let's say we create an AI to save the planet, right? And it has to be a very smart, super intelligent AI that doesn't exist so far, but it will at some point. And let's say this AI is going to start analyzing all the possible parameters on Earth, right? The animals, the seas, the mountains, how we eat, the things that are everything, right? And let's say suddenly this AI determines that human beings are some of the things that are preventing Earth to continue its long trajectory. In that moment, that AI is most likely going to say that, hey, if my task is to secure the continuous living of this planet, we have to take our humans of the equation, because humans are destabilizing that equation and we cannot live long term on that. And if that AI can actually have control of, I don't know, military aspects and economical aspects, cybersecurity aspects, who's to say that an AI cannot actually go ahead and try to take us out of the environment, right? So that's some of the things that why are people so worried about? But it's not going to happen in the next 5 to 10 years. I mean, I think things really need to scale and evolve, and I think actually AIs need to be really, really connected to everything to be able to perform that kind of decision making, right? I mean, an AI had to be connected to military aspects, to like economics, to everything, and that will most likely happen. But again, I think through AI democratization and data ownership, we can do that.
That's scary.
I like it. I mean, you gave the solution. You're like, we're not there yet, but when we're there, we're hopefully ready. And if we get there, I think that there are bigger imminent dangers to like human society than AI at the moment.
Yeah.
Especially with everything going on in the world right now. So I guess we'll see when we get there. But that's an interesting article.
Yeah, it is. So everyone, if you want to go ahead and read it completely, we're going to link it down there. Well, anyway, guys, I think it's our time limit for today. It's been an hour so far. So thank you both for being here. Second episode of our podcast, right? We're going to keep making more. Next episode, we have 2 amazing guests that we're going to reveal on the next episode. Thank you for being here and enjoying your night with me.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Glad you like it, guys.
I was remember all of the movies of Hollywood with AI.
Yeah, they're becoming true, man. They're actually starting to. I think many of the AI predictions that happen are created by directors, right? In science fiction and all this kind of movies, because I mean, these guys not knowing a thing about AI and AI models and stuff like that are able to predict things that are really crazy. So I don't know. Shout out to people like Chris Nolan and many other creators that actually are able to predict the future. Yeah, that's Ex Machina is another movie. Yeah, it's really interesting. Or Her. Did you see Her?
Yeah, that's a good movie.
Yeah, Her was one of the things. Her Final Space. Did you see Final Space?
No.
How it's a cartoon. It's a cartoon series, right? That it's disguised as a cartoon, but oh my god, the story behind it is so intense. So go ahead and watch it. But how AI assistants and robots help humans in that series to get across the whole mission. It's something that really inspired me. Also, her to create mEinstein AI. That's why we wanted to create an AI assistant that would open knowledge and help with personal finances and nutrition. Because one thing that really amazes me or really inspires me to create AI assistants is that um, we have certain struggles through life and certain missions, and just like a character in a movie is trying to like fight to get something, I think we all have that pursuit in life. It could be getting to another planet or just living financially more stable and having more things to do. But I think AIs are going to be part of that problem solving every day, and I think that's really crazy for me.
And scary.
And
No,
scary, yeah,
just
it's kind of the
just
both.
kidding. No, but
I think that's
Natalia's
really interesting. I think the inspiration behind your mission is very interesting. I appreciate you sharing that. I hadn't asked,
Of course,
but
of course.
I meant to ask.
Well, guys, thank you for being here. It's pretty late everywhere right now. So again, thanks for your time and for spending the night on the Blocks and Bot podcast. Guys, if you want to go invest in the next generation of AI assistants, go ahead and visit WeFounder/mEinstein. You can start investing from $100. It's a crowdfunding campaign because we wanted everyone not only to be able to vote for the future of the AI, but also sit at the table where decisions are being made. So go ahead and invest in mEinstein AI, the next generation of assistants. Guys, I love you. Thank you for being here tonight,
that's what's up.
and see you on the next episode.
Bye bye. Have a great
Bye.
night. That's what